Hello people, this is Squash Corner, and we're gonna talk about your first Smash Ultimate tournament, what to expect, what to bring, and all that fun shit. So yeah, we'll get started right now. Oof. So when you go in a tournament, the first thing you'll probably see once you enter where you're supposed to go, a bunch of monitors, like where you're actually going to play your games. So before the tournament, big tip I would give is see if you can get friendlies. The power of that is you could actually get some games in before the actual tournament starts. What makes that so significant is, one, you can meet new people, which is cool. You can make friends, if you will. If you haven't played all morning or whenever the tournament is supposed to start, you're gonna feel weird. Especially the idea that you get all the jitters and shit, so you're gonna be all nervous. And once you play, it's gonna feel very strange. So like the more games you get in, you kind of get rid of that nervousness because you're playing with people. Second thing, button checks. Button checks are stupidly important. So I guess I should say my story really quick. I use Joker. The last tournament I went to is, I don't like being vocal. I'm very introverted, so I don't like bugging people, talking to people. So basically I would be like, oh, could I do button check or whatever? And the guy or girl would be like, yeah, sure, go for it. So I do the button check, I show my inputs, blah blah, I put it. But you know how like it gives you, like you could do a test run, you could actually, using Mario, and then you could like move around. I don't do that because I want to just get into the game so I don't waste my opponent's time. I put my buttons, but I didn't check the character. What ended up happening was I had tap jump on. So while I was Joker trying to do up air, like loops, I would do a double jump. Part 3 of the tips is, honestly, invest in a headset if you possibly can. It's very important. Why is it very important? So I've been to like at least like 4 tournaments total, and then basically if I don't hear the game, there's certain things like you can't react to. Your reaction time gets better if you hear something versus if you see something. That's how I feel. Another thing too is if you invest in a headset and your opponent does not, I feel like it's not cheating because it's kind of like you're more prepared for the tournament if that's the case. If you really want to get serious in a tournament, I'd say listening to the game, or at least listening to like your own tunes, or listening in a way where it's like you can't hear everything around you. I feel like that's the best way to play, for you to have the full concentration of what's going on and you being able to react as fast as possible. This one's simple, bring your own controller. In my experience, I see somebody always there who forgets their controller. If somebody's nice enough, they'll be like, oh, I can lend you the controller. It's fine. But if you don't have that ability, you can't just participate. Like, they don't just lend you controllers. And also, don't feel stressed about, usually, you know, like if you think of Smash, you think of GameCube controllers. Don't stress about that at all. So if you like pro controllers, way more, bring it. Don't feel too pressured, whatever that you feel comfortable with. You would be surprised how loud a tournament is. Like, you know, like there's like people moving around, there's people buying stuff, but it's not even just that. If you play with somebody, I notice in my experience, to me, this happens all the time, where your opponent a lot of the time likes to talk to you. So for example, I'm mid-match, I'm playing, and then it's like my opponent is trying to have a conversation with me. Going back to the headset thing, what makes a headset or like a noise canceling system makes it so important is you don't want to have a conversation with somebody, or you're playing because you're playing to win. You're playing to showcase your skill. And when you have a conversation, you're not paying attention to the game, which is really distracting. I remember the first tournament I went to, somebody was trying to have a conversation with me, being like, oh, do you play do you play often? Do you do tournaments? And it's like, you look rude if you don't say anything, but you shouldn't say anything because you're here to play. So I use Joker. What is Joker? He's a very good character. He's a very good character, that's pretty much it. So I had a good portion of games where I'm using Joker and someone's like, oh, that's a really good character you're using, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Like there was a time where like I was in the big screen with another player, so my fight was showcased to practically everybody that it was like in that venue. And then basically I was able to get a spike in, I was able to land that, and then he was just like, fucking Joker. Like he was like, he said that, like he was upset, he was genuinely not happy. If you don't have anything that cancels that noise, your brain is too focused on how you feel towards your opponent or what your opponent feels, that it just kind of turns you off from the game, and you're worrying about that conversation or that small banter that you had with your foe versus paying attention to the game. So it really just throws you off. Or if your opponent even doesn't talk shit, but you could hear him grunting or being like upset, just like, like, you know what I mean? You're gonna feel bad making somebody else feel bad, but you shouldn't. So it just comes off as really like an uncomfortable situation. So why listen to this if you can invest in a headset? You can use something noise canceling so you don't even have to hear that. And then if you really want to talk to your opponent after the match or after the set, you could take off your headset and be like, oh, did you say anything? Oh, you want to talk about something? Blah, blah. You could answer him once the match is done. Tip number, I don't know, like 6. Let's just say you're playing in a game with somebody, like, and then your opponent is like, hey, do you want to just do this stage? Like, when a tournament starts, there's usually rules, and it shows you what stage, like, what starters you could pick, what counter picks you could pick. But usually in tournaments, they let you just, like, decide amongst each other of, like, hey, in the beginning, let's just pick this stage. So, something I noticed was in every tournament I have, somebody would be like, hey, you're okay with this stage? And I'll be like, you don't want to bother people, and you want to just be like, okay, sure. Where Pikachu players just like, hey, let's play Kalos, it'll be fine. Realistically, people are trying to be nice and choose a stage they want that benefits their character. But when people are telling you, hey, let's pick this stage, really second guess it, or I would say really do your research on, oh my god, does this benefit this character? So I honestly, if somebody says, let's just default to this stage, they call it, let's gentleman to this stage, I honestly would say don't take it, like, don't take the bait. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all the tips that I have to say. Hopefully this helps you in your first tournament. And yeah, that's pretty much it. See you guys. Bye.